Hey, welcome to Unpack Radio. I'm your host, Norris Pope Johnson. I got with me DC Badders.
Hey. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes.
Let's get into this thing.
Let's get into it.
First and foremost, have you seen the Bernie memes?
No, seriously. The last one I just saw was hilarious with him sitting with Forrest Gump.
Oh, my goodness. Shout out to Bernie, man. You are the new
I
meme
cannot.
king of Facebook.
I don't think I've ever seen one run this long.
It's probably going to go another day or two. Then after that, the world will find something else to be entertained by. But for right now, it's hilariously funny.
But, Bernie Sanders, big shout out to him. He's just real chill.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's like, I'm going to sit here with my little mittens on and social distance. I don't know what y'all talking about, but I'm all the way over here chilling. All right, let's get into the shenanigans.
Let's do it.
This is a true story.
All right.
All right, me and my lovely half on my favorite shows is Catfish. Love me some catfish. I don't know how people still get catfish in this day and time of technology, but they somehow managed to work it out. A young man not even a young man, his lovely other half wrote a letter to Catfish, stating that she was with a guy for 8 years. They was in a committed relationship, and for whatever reason, he couldn't get over his first love. And he tried to creep into his first love DM, got caught red-handed, and this young lady wanted to prove to her other half that he was being catfish all those years ago. So Catfish took on the case. The lady was there, the dude was there, and I'm looking at this lady like, you a fool, because one, you trying to help this dude find somebody who allegedly catfishing him, and he tried to cheat on you at the same time. Not even mind that. We get to the end of the catfish. We find out the person that was catfishing him was the young lady mother, was using her pictures to catfish this young man. You heard me correct, people.
The mother?
The young lady mother was using her photos, nude and otherwise, to catfish young men.
Wow.
DC Badders.
I have no words.
I need some words.
I
need
have
some
no
words. I need something. Give me something to go with.
What can you say? That's insanity. That's psychotic.
I know, this is real life. This is real life. This really happened.
Really?
This really happened, yes. And then the lady mother was just like, I was so lonely at the time. I went through a divorce. Everybody moved up. I needed somebody to show me some love. That's how I found love. By catfishing young men.
Wow.
And enticing them with nude photos of my daughter. You got nothing?
I cannot.
You ain't got no answers for me, Sway?
And this is the first time I've probably been speechless in a long time.
You ain't got no answers for me, Sway?
What can I say?
Well, I got some words. I got some words.
Go ahead. I want to hear it. I know you do. Let's go.
First and foremost, to the young man who was being catfished. Mm-hmm. You had a good woman at home who you gonna creep on to someone else's DMs that you don't even know who's real. Risk your relationship for something that may be fraudulent. You have to be the biggest fool on earth. And then the young lady who you trying to cheat on, reach out on your behalf to catfish to find out that you are being catfished. Yes, this is insanity. But this is how lonely and desperate people are, even when you're in a relationship. You can still be lonely and desperate.
Yeah, but that's
reaching out for hope. The hope that beautiful dime piece you knew from 18 years ago is real. That's reaching out. Can't be satisfied with that good woman you got at home. You got to reach out for hope. And then you find out it was her mama. And all hope is gone. All hope is gone. All hope is gone.
Just like that. Just like that.
Just like that. Now, we have a guest this week.
Cannot.
My man, I've been knowing him for a little while. He wrote a book. He wrote a nice book. Nice little covering. You know what I mean? Look at the professionalism there. Look at that professionalism.
It is nice. It is really
Front
nice.
and back.
It is nice. I didn't get a chance to read it yet, though, but it's nice.
We're gonna dip into the book.
Okay.
We're gonna ask him why he wrote the book.
Okay.
We're gonna ask him what motivated him to write a book. We gonna dip into this man personal business. My man DeWayne gonna be up.
Dang, he sound like he gonna be digging.
You know me, I dig in. You know, I gotta find out what motivated you.
Woo.
So my man DeWayne gonna be coming out. We're gonna be talking all about his book. We're gonna be discussing the issues in his book right after this break.
All right. Bring it
Vintage got the heat.
Welcome back to Unpack Radio. I'm your host, North Pope Johnson. Got me DC Baddest. I got
What'd he do?
my good friend DeWayne, who wrote a lovely book. I mean, I just now peeked at it.
What's up?
I'm peeking to the side. I thought I saw something, but I'm tripping.
Tripping.
I'm tripping.
He tired.
You know what I mean? I am tuckered. I'm tuckered.
Dang.
Shout out to Coach Dirk and shout out to Kevin because I don't know how they do it because they train people all day, every day, and I am rest to go to sleep after I watch Ready for Love. So that's what it was. See, I wasn't tripping. I was just making sure.
Okay.
My good buddy DeWayne, my first question is, why did you feel it was necessary to write this book?
I had to write the book. So let me say this. I got out of this awful relationship. I mean, it was a beautiful relationship. It lasted nine years, so it had to be some beauty there. But once that relationship was over, it was really difficult for me to move past it. As a man, you know, people think it's easy for you to get out there, sleep with this one and that one, and you're good. But for me, it was so much love involved in that. To transition to the next situation was really difficult for me.
Oh. I love that. You don't hear that often.
No, it's facts though. And the reason I had to write it was because I was doing all kinds of things. Of course, drinking, and I was sleeping around with women, but none of that helped ease the pain.
Yeah.
So the pain stayed there. And it was only until I found myself writing, doodling, that I felt better. And the more I wrote, the better I felt. And then at the end of a year and a half, I had all this paperwork in front of me because I forget the phones. I'm doing everything on paper, pencil and
me
paper.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
So I was like, what are you going to do with all this paperwork? You can't just trash it. So I had to teach myself how to write a book.
Oh, okay. So this is self-taught.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's very nice for
I
a
journal
self-taught.
all the time. I've been journaling since I was a teenager. So I told my children, if something happened to me, the first thing you better do is get those books.
Yeah.
Like, get them. Keep them, burn them. I don't, no, that's for nobody else's. You know
I
what
bet
mean?
there's some jewels in there,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Now, my next question is, what was the emotional process of your journey to completing the book? Because I know as you're writing the book, you're probably thinking about that heartbreak. You're probably reflecting on, damn. So what was the emotional journey for you?
Because I've never written a book, and I'm a writer / poet. I'm in touch with, I'm in all of these Facebook poetry groups. So I had to reach into those groups, and I had to ask the people that I was kind of friends with through social media. I was asking them, listen, how do you write a book? And then they were like, listen, come to our city. We'll take care of you. We'll help you write this book. We'll put you up. We'll talk to you, so forth and so on. And I had this one lady. She really broke me down. And I didn't even expect this. But she was like, the book is good. You make some great points in it. But you're out of touch with your reader. And of course, because I've never written a book before, I don't understand what she's saying. So she said, I'm going to give you this homework assignment. So I need you to remember back to the pain, and I need you to write something on that. And she left me. She had to leave for about 2 hours or so. And I sat, and I didn't even know where this came from, but all of these emotions, all of these feelings came to the surface, and I just started writing. And then when I finished, I even dropped my own mouth. My mouth hit the floor because I was like, wow, this is really good. But it was good, and it was true. So, and all that emotion, that helped tell my story, and it helped me connect with my reader.
DC?
So, not with just writing a book, your emotions, as he was asking you about, did it change your dynamics on the way that you looked at relationships, the way that you would enter a relationship, or did you even think about getting involved again? Because you said you were still, out there. So when you were out there, what was your intent? So was it out of malice, like I'm mad, I'm angry? You can.
No, let me tell you what type of person I am. When I meet you, the opposite sex, and I have a good conversation with you, for the most part, I understand our connection. I understand what level our connection is. We could be potential drinking buddies, we can be potential hanging out buddies, whatever kind of friends, or I can have an actual connection with you. And if I have a connection with you, screw all of that. I don't have a problem with tapping back into my emotions. And I know some guys shut down and stuff like that because they're afraid to be slammed by that loss or that. But that's not who I am.
Right.
I love to be loved, and I love loving women because it's a beautiful thing. I mean, when you really give your woman the type of love that she deserves, and you come home to that meal or that bath or that massage, man, what more can you ask for?
I know, right?
So-
What more could you ask for?
So I had no problem tapping into that. I mean, meeting somebody and saying, I want to spend some quality time with you.
So, in you writing a book, did you have any parts of it where it was a tell all parts in your relationship of the 9-year person who you were with? Did you mention anything about her?
No. I may have mentioned stuff silently, but you got to understand this. I haven't had great relationships with black women, and I say black women specifically because that's generally who I deal with.
I hope so.
That's generally who I deal with. So I've had, because of these bad relationships, in writing this book, and knowing that today, if you say anything crazy about a black woman, then ain't nobody gonna read your book. Then ain't nobody gonna pass your book on.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
I think we here for the drama. That's what
No,
we
the
like.
drama, yes, but not for the bashing. And because I was so emotionally let down by black women, I could have just ripped into
chasing at the
black
wrong
women.
ones.
Well, yeah. So I tried to stay away from the negativity, and I tried to make sure that I didn't bash her or put her in a negative light. You know, I'm a smart ass, so of course I'm gonna say some slick stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to just directly go and bash her, no, I stayed away from that.
That's what's up. I have respect for you.
Okay.
That's
May I
what's up.
ask what caused the breakup?
You grow apart. Yeah, think about it. 9 years? Come on, man. And then I'm going to say this, and this may not be true, but in my opinion, well, she was a virgin when I met her.
Bless the
So,
Lord.
yeah, so after 9 years, you're comfortable with the person you with, but in the back of your mind, you're like, man, I may need some new pee-pee. I might need to go out here and get me something
You
different.
felt like you needed new because she wasn't
I felt like
experienced?
she. Well, probably
Oh,
so. I mean,
okay.
you outgrow the relationship, and I do believe she outgrew the relationship. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was tired of the relationship, but because I'm such a creature of habit, it was so difficult to let it go. So even though I wanted to step away, I'm a creature of habit again. So I'm like, this is my normal. I'm used to this. I'm used to waking up to my son. I'm used to looking out for her, taking care of us as a family. Now you want me to let this go after 9 years? Yeah, I'm tired of you, but I don't think I'm gonna do it.
So, the part where you said you guys outgrew one another, I often hear that a lot. And I was married, and I think we went through the same thing. My husband was 10 years older than myself, so it was a part where I wanted to grow up, and he was like, "No, like you're underneath, you're underneath me." He was real controlling,
Exactly.
But I was there for it because it's a process. I took an oath, before God, and I was just like, we're gonna make this work regardless. I just can't deal with infidelity. I can deal with everything else, but I can't deal with infidelity. So I just I don't know. And you're married.
Yes.
So the outgrowing each other part, isn't that where you're supposed to get stronger?
Well, that's when you need to find a good relationship counselor. Because you may not truly understand, like now they have your love language. What is your love language? Yours might be, you like...
All of them. I have all of them.
You can't have all of them, babe. You can't have all of them.
No, I do. All
But you
of
got to
them.
know what your love language is, and then you got to know how to correctly speak to someone. Where
Oh,
they can
definitely.
hear you, and you can get your point across, and it doesn't offend them.
Now, that is
And
so
I think
important.
that's the most important key
That is
of
so-
building
yes.
a good relationship is to make sure you're heard without offending someone. And in my
difficult.
past, I was an F-boy, so therefore, it was mostly 80% me.
God bless
So
Kim.
therefore, once you stop being an
God bless
F-boy,
Kim.
you can correctly have a good relationship. And if you focus on your wife and you focus on truly loving your spouse, you build together. Because everybody grow. Like the person I was last week is a different person today. So everybody is growing into maturity. Every day you're supposed to grow.
Right.
Every day you're supposed to change into someone new.
Right.
You don't supposed to be the same person you was last week, last month, or last year.
I agree.
Everybody's growing. But are you growing in the same direction, and are you growing with a purpose?
Exactly.
Is the real key.
And that was what happened. We were both growing. Actually, I hit a wall, and that's completely different from me, because, you know, I wake up every day looking for a new challenge. But I had hit some stumbling blocks. I mean, it's all in the book, mentality, and she was excelling in her field, and she was growing and meeting people and getting bigger and getting better. And then I think in her brain, she was like, maybe he's going to be in this rut longer than I'm willing to wait for him. So let me get out here and go do me while he's stuck in his rut. And then, you know, and to be honest with you, I needed that time alone. But, you know, going through it, you don't know that. You know, I want my family. I want this woman that I've been with.
Right.
But that time alone, and she hated me after that time alone, because I was able to come to grips with who I was and what I wanted. And I was satisfied with waking up by myself, and I was comfortable with understanding that, hey, listen, we just have a co-parenting relationship. And she despised that, but you kind of caused a rift because you wanted to go in your own direction.
That's that dangerous love right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely.
No, I wouldn't know about all that. Now, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about your journey of loving yourself first?
Oh man, I think let me tell you, the coolest thing in the world is to be me.
And that's right.
You know what I'm talking about? And I'm not saying that in a vain manner. I just explore myself regularly, mentally, emotionally, because you always have to have checks and balances. Because when you wake up every day, people always want to tell you who you are. People always want to say you need to go in this direction. And those of us who aren't comfortable with who we are, we listen instead of following our hearts or following our brains and stuff like that. And I got to a point where I listen. I'm a great listener. But at the end of the day, when I make decisions for DeWayne Foote.
DC?
Well, I just discovered that part of my brain to absolutely put myself first and love myself wholly and completely.
Yeah.
We have had conversations about that. He always tell me, you know, you need to chill out. Your kids pretty much grown. You need to look out for yourself. Take care of you. And I find myself so many times always putting everybody else first, and especially in my relationship. My man came first. I was that submissive wife. I mean, that submissive girlfriend. I didn't have a problem with doing anything.
Yeah.
As
But
long
you seem like you're such a, you seem like you got some fire to you.
Oh, don't get it twisted. She's in there, but it has to be provoked. But it takes some time for me to actually bring, you know.
Got it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You got a name for it too, don't you?
How you know? Because I was getting ready to say it too.
What's your code name, DC?
That's between me and whom I will be with. I will not reveal her. I will not.
Sir, whomever you may be.
I know, whoever you are, I am here waiting, patiently waiting.
So it sound like you have for a good ride.
Yes, indeed.
Years of frustration
Right
about to be
it
like, round.
don't get me wrong though. The book isn't completely about the relationship. I mean, the relationship is the reason I wrote it. The book is actually, just like a lot of black boys in this country. I was raised without my dad, and because of that, I fell into what I would call rock bottom.
Why do you say that?
Because I was without everybody. I mean, that's like I said, the book is a tale of two tales. Initially, let's just say the first 9 pages chapters are about the people in my life, my mom, my father, of course, my sons. The second part of the book is basically about the story that says how I hit rock bottom, and because I didn't have those lessons taught to me by my father, that I stayed at rock bottom for longer than what I should have.
Now, what is your definition of rock bottom?
I lost everybody. Not necessarily everything, because I've worked. I've always made a good wage. I've always taken care of myself, but it wasn't like I lost material things. I lost family. I loved lost ones, all because I didn't handle a particular situation the way I should have handled it. And because I did that, I know for a fact that had my father been there to teach me some of those lessons, or to say, hey, son, you're going in that's not the direction that you want to go in, I could have saved or salvaged some of those relationships. But those relationships went to the wayside because I just didn't know how to handle going through and being firm in what I wanted out of these relationships, and being and letting the people who I lost those relationships with know that they meant a lot to me. I didn't know how to navigate it though.
So were you able to recover?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You got to think when you're in these relationships with your parents and these relationships with any loved one. Once you lose that trust, once you lose that love, it's really difficult to get it back. And both parties have to want it. And that's my issue right there. I fight for love. I fought for the love of my significant others, of my immediate family and stuff like that. But they were comfortable that it wasn't as close as it used to be.
Right.
So I had to get to a point where, again, like you asked me earlier, that I had to be comfortable in my own shoes, comfortable inside myself, and say, hey, did you do the right thing? Did you show enough? Did you express enough love when you tried to reconnect? Or did you shortchange yourself again? And I established that I showed enough love. I was patient. I was tolerant. But they didn't fight with me. So, cut your losses and roll.
I had to learn that lesson the hard way myself. With
You know what I'm
family
saying?
members.
Yeah.
And there's a few people I literally just had to say, sometimes you just have to walk away, take a mental break. You're not angry with them, you don't hate them, but you just got to I need a break.
Yeah.
I need a break from you for me.
But you ever have that, you ever had that emotional weight on your shoulders where you can't really rationalize for yourself on a day-to-day basis, and you don't know why? You're like, what's going on? But you got that emotional weight on you. And as soon as you say, that's it, and you cut it off, and you live for yourself, you feel so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
I never let nobody take me to that point.
Yeah.
But I do kind of understand what you're saying.
He's so macho. He kills me.
But
Kill me.
DC, no offense.
You
gotta
have no
think about-
emotions.
You got to think about all this stuff. Like last week we was having a discussion. You got to think about literally one of these days, me and you can just talk about my life. I can write like the craziest, like Antoine Fisher make my wife cry. My story is worse than that. Like literally, you got to think about it this way. At 7 years old, one of my cousins molested me.
Really?
So you got to think
Oh,
about all
no.
that. And then that gave me like a sex addiction because you don't supposed to be having sex at that early age.
You said at 7?
7.
Oh, wow.
My cousin molested me. So you got to
I'm
think
sorry
about
about
stuff like
that.
that. You got to think about my mom's drinking. I had to literally one time pull beer down the sink and be like, please don't drink no more. So you got to think about all the stuff I've been through. I done cried all of the tears I can cry.
You cried?
I used to cry all the
Like
time
they
to
roll
beg my
down your
mother to stop drinking. I have no more tears left.
Right.
It's only mental toughness that gets me through the day. You gotta have some type of mental toughness to push through all these things and all this drama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being a black man in the inner city, growing up in the times that we grew up in, you got to be mentally locked in when someone at 13 years old asks you whether or not you want to sell these drugs. And you got to be tough enough to say no, because there's no one there to save you. I'm pretty sure he can probably testify to that.
I'm sure.
I mean, growing up without a father,
Absolutely.
you have all this emotional baggage, because then once you get in a relationship, you got to figure out how to love this woman. And you never learn how to love a woman from a man. So you got to figure all this shit out on your own. You got no guidance on how to love a woman.
I mean, and that's vice versa for a woman as well. We're not really taught unless you saw it, you know, where your aunties and your uncles were in relationships or married for a long time. I do know that I have 2, 3 aunts and uncles that have been in relationship over 30 some years. But I mean, to honestly say, my mom and my dad were married, but they were separated. I mean, that's what it was, always a broken home, a broken thing. So women had to learn how to love, but we were taught, go to church, go to school, graduate, get your education, find you a good man, settle down.
That's it.
If they would have said, Alicia, girl, get yourself a job, go work for Congress, go be president of the United States, I probably could have did that.
Absolutely.
But this is what I was following the path of what I was taught, because that's what was laid before me. You understand what I'm saying?
And it hardens you
Yeah,
too.
it definitely.
It hardens women.
It definitely does.
when we ourselves don't know how to show our emotions and love, and then here nobody really taught you. You never saw the example of a black man loving a black woman, so it hardens you. Then you get in a relationship with a man who's already tough as nails, and then you don't know how to express yourself. He doesn't know how to express himself. So the back and forth can be ugly. You know,
Yeah.
it could be. It's love and it's hate.
Exactly.
You know, no middle ground. Can you imagine
Exactly.
that? Love and hate and no middle ground.
Exactly. And then you bring children in the
Oh my
midst
God,
of it.
which
Which makes it
which is
even
beautiful,
worse.
but it makes things.
Yes.
Makes it
Completely
even worse, because now
worse.
they get to see all this mess going on.
Exactly.
All right, my next question. You mentioned your father. Now, as a father, do you try to play an active role in your children's life because of that absence that you had growing up?
Let me tell you something. I love being a father, but it's real difficult. It's really difficult being a father when you have these women who step on your toes, who don't allow you to be the fantastic father that you are. But don't get me wrong. The time that I had in my children's lives, I did everything I can to make sure that they understood that, you know, that they needed to be comfortable with the young men that they are. They needed to understand that I was going to go in a particular direction, and that direction I go in. Pay attention to that, because you're going to need to pay attention to these examples, because you're going to need to use some of the things that I've gone through in your life so that you won't make the same mistakes.
Exactly.
So definitely, I mean, and you just have to be, you know, and I focus on young men in my book. I don't have any daughters, and thank God I don't, because if I had daughters, I would stay broke. But because I have these young men, I understand how to talk to them. I understand what they need, and I love it. I love everything about parenting. So yes, I do go out of my way to make sure my boys understand the big picture. Pay attention to me and find out who you are as an individual.
Yes, that is so important. So, while you were going through all this, the process of learning yourself and your heart and your emotions and writing a book, was there some type of spiritual guidance that you took, or some, you know, advice from someone?
Spiritual guidance, not. I mean, I personally have a relationship with God, but did I have any particular spiritual guidance outside of my personal relationship with Him? No. So I don't talk a lot about spirituality in the book, because again, you got to think about it. I'm trying to be straightforward and make certain points, and I think sometimes when you throw spirituality or religion in there, you could mess the point up that you're trying to make.
Okay.
You know, because people love their God.
Oh, yeah.
And please don't say anything against
Right.
God or close to being against God. So I was really, really focused on trying to make my point in some abstract ways, some straightforward ways.
Okay. I ask that because sometimes, you have this, like Oprah Winfrey had like a moment, like God spoke to me and I was supposed to, he told me to write this book and he told me to say these words. That's why I asked that, because you came out of just writing and going straight into doing a book. So that's what I was asking you, basically, was it a moment where God spoke to you, or you had a dream, or some type of epiphany?
That didn't happen. I think it happened in the sense that he opened my eyes to say, don't you feel better right now while you have that pen in your hand and you writing on that paper? So in that manner, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Because I didn't see it. You got to think about it. It took me a year to a year and a half to actually discover that I was feeling better.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So he was like, don't you feel better now? And I looked internally and I was like, I do feel better. So even now, and I done put the pen and paper away and I done moved to my iPhone. So now I'm writing in my iPhone,
Okay.
and it doesn't make a difference what I'm writing. The next book, a poem, or whatever, I feel great while I'm doing it.
Okay.
My next question, I noticed you said in your book that failure is not an option. Why was that important to mention?
I mean, because we get in these ruts, and when I was at rock bottom, I actually thought I was a loser. I thought I was a loser because, hey, I'm in rock bottom, and I have people telling me on a regular basis that I was a failure.
What people told you that?
Baby mamas,
Oh, so just...
people close to me. But I understand why they were doing it. I mean, were they being mean? Sure, they were being mean. But it's so easy to pass the buck. When you want to not own your bullshit, you pass the buck on to somebody else. You tell them how terrible of a person they are. So that's what was happening to me on a regular basis. So I was being compounded with people telling me how terrible of a person I was, and I was believing it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I created this alter ego, Lone Wolf.
Oh, that's your brand.
Yeah.
Okay, Lone Wolf.
And don't get me wrong, I know it sounds crazy for a grown-ass man to have an alter ego, but let me tell you what it does for you. It makes you remember when you were comfortable in your own shoes. It make you remember when you took care of your family. It make you remember when you were confident. So once I latched on to this logo and got it tattooed on me, because I had to get it tattooed on me.
You had to?
I had to.
Okay. Is that your only tattoo?
Oh, no, I got a couple of them. I have
okay.
several of them.
Okay.
And I need to work on this sleeve. But
okay, all right.
But once I tapped into that power of Lone Wolf, I just started working. I felt better because I was writing, but just because I felt better doesn't mean that I was working. Now this alter ego was like, listen, you see that light up there? We gotta get to that light. So we gotta put forth some effort to get you back to where you were. And once I started climbing out of that hole and started getting closer and closer to that light, that confidence came.
Now, I noticed you mentioned about the alter ego and being grown with alter ego. So I'm going to make you feel comfortable right now. Will Smith, just a few months ago, said that Will Smith had to keep him sane. Pretty much he had to think of himself as a whole different human being just to stay sane in the world that he was living in, where you got so much money and power that can easily corrupt you. So you have to kind of find a shell to protect yourself from all the outside resources that's always trying to leech off of you. So you might be using that alter ego just to be like, hey, this shell right here is going to protect the world from leeching my energy.
Absolutely.
DC?
Yeah, I think at some point in time, everyone, whether you have money or not, reach that point where they have to actually decipher themselves from, separated. It has to be a separation at some point in time because it gets heavy. I mean, it seems like the weight of the world is on your chest when you lay down at night and when you wake up in the morning. I mean, I've definitely been there. Just had a very awful last Friday. And I don't want to even get emotional about it, but when you feel it's just amazing to feel. But when you feel and your emotions begin to rev up, you want it to be in a positive light. But sometimes it don't always come out like that.
Right.
Especially when you got negative people in your ear and you don't have that circle. And that is so important. You definitely have to have people around you that are motivating you to do the right thing. Speaking positive vibes, always giving, good advice, whether they know what the situation is or not. Because you don't know what my situation is, but you always say, keep your head up, don't let nothing get you down. You can do this, you got this, you got this. But, when you got somebody, you're like, girl, let's go fuck this nigga up. You know what I'm saying? What? We ain't scared of no police. What you mean? But you got yours, I got mine. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what you don't need. So, yes, I definitely can understand that alter ego. My alter ego definitely keeps me on my feet. She keeps me in all my little pieces, my wigs, and make sure that when I step out the house, I come out correct. Because when I'm in the house, sometimes, especially in this pandemic, it has been crazy. I have been at the lowest of lows, look in the mirror like, who is this person? I had one of my neighbors say, oh, the transformation.
Be real.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, when you home chilling, you comfortable. The wigs, I got 1,000 of them, so, I'm just being honest. It is what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
I had one of my neighbors ask me, what did he ask me? Was I in the witness protection program? I said, why would you ask me that? He said, every time I see you got a different head. I said, no, that's just me. I just like to be different. I never stayed inside the box, and that's another thing. You can't always follow the crowd. You got to be who you are. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And if they do, they're afraid because people are going to talk. But as I say all the time, whether you're doing good or bad, whether you're being yourself or not, people going to talk anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So you might as well go ahead and do your own thing. Keep it original, keep it unique.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you for the comment, DC. But I haven't arrived to that point yet. If you really need something taken care of, there's still people out there who will do stuff for $50.
Indeed.
And we can make sure we're not connected to it. So I'm not that saved yet. I'm just saying, I'm still from the streets.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And
Note to self. Note to self.
And once I get this license for $4,000, don't roll up on me because I'm letting you know you got two options.
Oh, Lord.
My 25 won't be carrying on me or this ass whooping, whichever one you want to have.
You want to fight somebody so bad.
I'm just saying, we living in an interesting world with interesting times. And just in case somebody might assume that I'm on one side of the fence or the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
Everybody know I'm a black Republican. But I would hate for one of my fellow Republicans to get their ass whooped just because I'm black.
Indeed.
So just in case, you know what I mean? We living in some interesting times.
We definitely are.
Now, let me ask you a question, good brother. Now, I mean, how do you go about, your journey as a man during these times? Because we do live in some interesting times where, you have the world that may assume just because of what you look like that you're that type of person where they don't really know you.
Right. Well, I talk so much shit.
You do?
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
And I love it though. I love it. I'm a plumber, so I'm a plumber, licensed plumber. So being in that field, you work with a bunch of rednecks, people from Southern Maryland, Pennsylvania, and stuff like that. So in my everyday journey, I'm confronted by smart remarks and stuff like that. And it's cool because none of it ever really gets to me and stuff like that because I do talk the shit and I'm educated.
And you know who you are now.
And I'm completely familiar with who I am.
Right.
So I talk my stuff like they talk theirs, and it usually ends in a stalemate. And that's a beautiful thing when you can be comfortable enough in yourself and you can talk to somebody who doesn't necessarily look like you on a regular basis and bring them to a stalemate. They don't win, you don't win. You get your point across, I get my point across. So I'm cool. But in my everyday travels, living in Southeast, and I'm not the fighter, but I never get any. I guess because I mind my business, and because I mind my business on a regular basis, I wave to the police when I walk by them. They wave back. I talk to the crackheads. By the way, they think I'm the handsomest man in the world.
Of course they
Tell
do.
me, tell me how good I smell. It's the craziest thing. But in my everyday travels, man, I go in peace because I don't bother anybody.
That's what's up.
You see?
Um, in your book, I haven't read your book yet. I will definitely make sure I get a copy and read it. But with your book being done and published, how did life change for you? Now you telling me that you live in Southeast, so now you are known. Because I wrote on my on the flyer that I did, the man, the mogul, the author. I didn't know anything about you. I didn't know anything about the story, but I knew that it was something about your life, your struggle. So how did life change for you? Were you more respected? Was it more of a, you know, how was that?
Well, like, as it pertains to the book, nothing really changed. I mean, people, how about this? People got so much insight from that book about who I am as an individual.
Okay.
So my life changed in the sense that people were, wow, I didn't know that happened, or wow, I can't believe that. And I love that because the one thing I want more than anything in life is for people to understand me on the level in which I portray myself. You know, I don't want people looking at me creating stories. I want to be able to say, hey, this is who I am. And they say, yeah, that is who you are. That's who you portray yourself as. That's who I read about in a book. So when people are comfortable when they come around me, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
That's what's up. Okay.
All right, let me ask you this question. What is your favorite chapter in your book?
Good question.
Black women.
Why is
Black
that?
women. It's that because I'm critical. I
Hear that part. Drum roll. Let's hear this.
I'm critical and I speak from my perspective. I don't jumble all black women together and stuff like that. I speak from my perspective. So when you read that chapter, if you get offended, you're getting offended because of something that's happened to you in your life. You're not getting offended because I've said something pulled something out of my behind and said something crazy. But I love that story because I talk about. I love the way I started off when I talk about Venus Williams and how she's gold on a tennis court and so forth and so on. I mean, the things that the way I say it makes it sound like I want to be really nice the entire chapter, and then I get into my story, and then I'm not so nice.
Okay.
Not so nice. So wait a minute. Let's
Before it
get
gets
into
too hot in here, let me take a short break before the steam come out of
'cause I wanna know.
DC Baddest head. We'll be right back.
I want to hear about it. What you say?
Vintage got the heat.
Welcome back, and my man is about to make DC Baddest explode. Proceed. I mean,
I'm not going to explode.
why was you so rough on these black women?
You know, I'm not really rough. Oh,
I'm talking to my man over here. Why was he? What
He
made
was
you?
rough?
What made you critical of black women?
Because you have to be.
you
I
dated
mean,
him.
yeah, I dated them, and you have to be. I mean, we do black women a disservice by not being critical, by not being truthful to them. You know, and it bothers me because I understand why we do it. I'm a whole grown man. You know, we look at the big picture, which is we want to sleep with them. So we'll procrastinate and we won't tell them the whole truth instead of being upfront and honest with them. And black women today, man, they slicker than us. And let me tell you something, man. The worst thing you could do to a black woman is lie to her or not be upfront and honest with her. So I'm truthful, and in my truth, truth is always going to be harsh. But in my truth, I'm saying to you that I love you enough that I'm trying to let you know how I feel because I want you to have knowledge. I want you to get to the point where you consider me. You don't always consider yourself. And you gotta come on now. Black women consider themselves. Do they consider men? Yeah, but at the end of the day, they want the best for themselves. So I have to say, I need you to consider me. You know why I need you to consider me? Because I understand how I feel. I need you to love me this way. I know you want to love me the way you've loved everybody else, but that way doesn't work for me. So I need to be upfront and honest with you about how I feel. That's love. How many black men have told you, DC Baddest, I don't need you loving me that way. I need you to love me this way. Because this is how this is what makes me feel loved.
Okay, so
Yes,
I've never had. No, it's not. No, I love it because he's being honest and real. However, you get what you give. So you're whatever you getting from that woman, particular black woman that you're dealing with, is something that you poured into her because that's the way that you all vibe with one another. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be different in every relationship. Mm-hmm. So I've never had a man to tell me how to love him because I've always given the love the way that it was given back to me. Yeah. So if you give it to me one way, I'm going to give it back to you the same way. Mm-hmm. So I never had a problem in that area. I think what happens in most relationships with black women, we tend to allow the man to so-called lead. Mm-hmm. And when you fail, the trust is broken, something deviates in that, it's false. Mm-hmm. It may be done on surface, but internally, it's false. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
I mean, we walking looking like the white picket fence, but once we get inside their house, it's a totally different story.
Well, how about this? I've been blindsided so many times by black women. That's just my truth. You know,
one of the situations I know about.
Exactly.
And let's go there. Exactly. I want to hear about
one of the situations I know about.
I appreciate you. Exactly.
Yeah, one of the situations I definitely know about. And we had a conversation about the situation. Yep. I was like,
but how are you blindsided?
Did you? It wasn't a complete blindside. I'm not going to put it all out there.
That's true.
But he went through a situation where he felt like he was cheated on. And me and him talked about it. I don't know if you remember this conversation a long time ago. And I was like, well, do you think about it this way? If you gave it the opportunity to explore something new, and they took the opportunity. And he's like, I didn't think about it that way. And I was like, sometimes if you give someone the opportunity to explore something new, you can't say they cheated on you because you gave them permission to explore that option. You were hoping that they would say, I don't want to take this option. But you can't dangle candy in front of a baby and then get mad when that baby eat the candy.
True. But that's rightfully or wrongfully, that's my thing. I love that. I love to because people say to you all the time that they love you. But when you get in a situation where they have to prove that love, then things get problematic. You know, I don't have a problem with dangling that carrot in front of your eyes. And when you bite that carrot, even though I didn't want you to, now I know who you are. Now I know that you weren't necessarily meant for me. Why do I do that? It's just something that I do. But I do that for all my relationships. I'm talking about with my buddies. I'm talking about with everybody that I come encounter with. Because people say stuff, whether it's conscious or not. People say stuff to let you know, I'm riding with you. And all of our relationships are going to get to a point where that person is going to have to prove that they riding with you. So whether I consciously dangle that carrot or life dangles that carrot, if that person shows you that they don't really ride with you, then you can't be mad with them. You have to accept that. You have to accept them for who they are. So that's a perfect example that you just gave. And she just showed me who she was.
I think I know why you do it. Because I used to do the same thing with people who know I was testing them or testing their love for me. I think it's come from a place of you've been so hurt and you're so guarded that you want to see who's really there for you. and you want to make these little tests
Yes.
to see whether or not you pass
That's
or
games.
fail.
Yeah, no, yes
that's
and no.
Games.
Yeah, no,
Nobody have time for no games. See,
No,
I'm a
he has
grown
a-
woman. I don't have time for that. Don't test me.
Hey,
Got a good point.
no, look at the hand came out there. Don't test me.
Don't test me. Like what is that all about?
No, he has a great point. That maybe in some relationships I did that, but in other relationships, I'm so comfortable with who I am. I'm so confident in DeWayne Foote. I don't have a problem with my buddies being cool with the lady that I'm dating because
Your
I'm
buddies.
Oh yeah,
Like
my
your
buddy.
friends?
Because whoever I'm dating gonna meet everybody I know, because I want them to be in my circle.
Okay.
I want them to be around everybody.
Okay.
They don't have to accept them, and she doesn't have to accept them. But I want to expose because I'm in love. I want my people to know who I'm in love with.
Right.
So I'm so comfortable in my shoes that I don't mind exposing my lady to my friend. Now, if my friend does something or she does something and it shows you that maybe she wasn't the right one, but I'm super confident that even after she exits, I'll find something else.
Okay, I have a question from my producer. Sideline question. Most black men do not know what real love is. So how can you tell us how to love them?
How to love.
How to love black men? When we don't really know what real love is, how can you tell us how to love them?
Well, we got to do that. We got to do some self-exploration, and we terrified of that. Black men are terrified to explore ourselves.
Yes, you are.
And we have to explore ourselves, even if we have to go to get some counseling. We
That's
run
the-
from
that's
that. We,
number one.
we run from that.
The
When that's
doctor.
the best thing that ever happened to me was I went to a counselor, and I didn't think that me and this white woman, she was going to have any positive words for me. And I'm talking to her, and I'm saying, that relationship was so beautiful. Why is that relationship over? My Oprah moment. She says, life ain't fair.
Jesus.
That's life. I was like, what? But it's
Just like
factual.
that. Yeah.
It's factual. So you need those moments where you talk to people who may see the situation differently.
Definitely.
Counselor,
Pastor, somebody.
friend, pastor. Great point. Somebody, and you have to talk to yourself. You have to say, I'm uncomfortable in this situation. And you have to be truthful with yourself. A lot of times we don't want to tell the truth to ourselves. We just want to ride it out. And it's not cool to ride it out because you're going to make things worse. You got to say, this isn't emotionally healthy for me. This isn't mentally healthy for me. Let me take a step back. Let me examine how I feel about this particular thing. And let me either exit or do what I have to do to work to get to a place where we are comfortable.
Let me ask you another sideline question. And this is very true. Most men, we don't want to seek counseling. So, you know what I mean? That's why they don't want to own up to their problems.
Absolutely.
Which is very true. That's a great sideline point. And I believe now we live in a time, I think it was my guy Charlemagne made the point that we all live in a time where it's acceptable for us to go get the help.
Absolutely.
But our parents and our grandparents, it wasn't acceptable for them to reach out
Such a stigma.
for help. But now we live in this time where black men are now saying, I'm in therapy because I suffer from anxiety or I suffer from this. And I'm just like, it's so many positive black men out there reaching out saying, now I'm going to get therapy because I know I need the help. And maybe that can save a life. So how was your journey through therapy, and what made you really decide I need to go get this type of help before I crash out completely?
I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel happy inside. And it stuck with me for a long time. And this is even before that relationship was over with. I remember my oldest son's mom when I as you can tell, I love hard. So after that relationship was over, and that relationship probably lasted 4 years. When that relationship was over with, I was sad, and I didn't know how to get past it. I went to a counselor session. Me and this lady sat and talked. She was a black lady, and she made me feel at ease with that situation. Can you imagine had I not gone through that situation? See, me going through that initial counseling session, in my brain made it say, counseling is cool. You can get to a point of comfort within yourself that you can you can understand that better days are ahead. But had I not did that, I wouldn't have known that. So because I went through that session, in other situations, whether it was relationships or personal things, I was comfortable enough to say, you know what, I need to use my job's EAP. I need to go in here and talk to somebody to explore what's happening with me. And in every situation, I got great advice.
That's good.
DC?
That's good. Like I said, I haven't read your book. But because you said this black woman thing, I'm stuck. I want to get deep into it.
Cool.
So I don't know how much time we have, but
We got half an hour. We got
So-
30 minutes. We got a whole 30 minutes.
So
and
how
I got to
do
make a
you-
church announcement. But other than
okay.
that, we
How
got-
do you really view black women? Has all of your experiences been bad? What type of black women have you experienced, and were they different ones? So, because you know me, I consider myself to be classy with a little bit of, street in me,
Right, right.
you know. But I can go to the White House
The
and I
best
can go
type,
to
the best type.
to the co-house. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But what happened? Because when I hear you say black women, I'm listening to it. It sounds dirty.
Yeah, I know. But that we've been conditioned and trained to say to think that anytime you say anything that's not positive about a black woman is negative, and it's not. It's not. I can have a problem with you and you be a black woman. It's cool, cause when you have problems with me, and I'm a black man, it's definitely cool because you're gonna let me know what's going on. So why can't I let you know, black woman, what's going on?
Because you know what, I feel like we are so disrespected, period, across the board.
Facts.
The most disrespected, I mean, from 400 plus years ago up until now.
I mean, we can sit here and we can battle with who's the most disrespected because they make laws to put you in power, black woman, and put us down, the black man. So we can argue about who's the most disrespected, or we can have healing resolution about going forward.
Exactly, and I definitely would rather have that. However, the sound of your voice when you say black woman is not a gentle. It's not gentle.
No?
It's not.
Okay.
So
that's
have
cool.
you healed? Are you
Absolutely. I've written poetry about black women that
you got something you want to say now? I want to hear something because I need to.
wow.
I need to feel some type of way because I feel like you when you say black women, when you said it after he said something about the book, it just sounds bad. Like I'm going to read the book tonight. I probably have to go online and get it, but I'm going to read this book.
Okay. Cool. So it's a great question to ask. Am I completely healed? That's why anytime a black woman reads my book, I always make sure I give her my card because I want to hear if you find disrespect in the book. And to date, I have reviews. I mean, you can go because the book Mentality is actually on Amazon, so you can go to Amazon and there's some reviews there from black women, or you can go to my website. My website is Lone Wolf IP. LONEWOLF. I is intellectual. P is in property.com. You can go there. There's comments there. I have reviews on there as well. Nobody has ever slammed the book. No black woman, to my knowledge, has ever slammed the book. So maybe I was feeling something a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. He had me
I took him back.
rise up.
Right. And that's it. I'm
But it's
I'm
okay.
a Aquarius all day long.
Oh, wow.
And we are passionate and emotional creatures. So absolutely.
Bless your heart.
Yes.
Okay, DeWayne, I do have a question. I took a sneak peek and I noticed you had a chapter called Haters.
Oh yeah.
Why was that important?
I think I wanted to express to people that you don't have to have a whole bunch of money to have haters, and there's a lot of different ways for people to hate on you, you know. And I think I've always been a pretty cool guy. So for anybody to ever hate on me was weird to me, So I had to write on it.
So have you been a hater?
Oh yeah, I'm the lead hater.
Okay.
But
so
I hate on silly stuff though.
Okay.
What's the young lady's name that played Diamond? Lisa Ray. So I thought Lisa.
Bro, I'm about to jump over that.
This is ridiculous stuff.
Alicia, slide to the slide now. Just in case he say something crazy.
Don't go nowhere.
He said, "Don't go nowhere."
So look, I hate on silly stuff. So when I see her thinking she's, all this and all that and stuff like that. So I never took to her. But I went to the Essence Music Festival, and she had just gotten off the stage. And she started walking to her next event. And this little girl, her whole mouth dropped, and she was so happy to see Lisa Ray. And Lisa Ray stopped, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And her people were trying to usher her off to the next spot, and she was like, "No." She had to speak to that girl. She had to get this girl an autograph,
Aww.
and she had to take a picture with that. So it blew my hating ass out the water.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
I love it because everybody have their own perception of you.
Absolutely.
And until they meet you, "Oh, you so nice." Not to dote on myself, but they say normally pretty girls are. They're not nice like that. And I get that all the time. I said, that's so crazy. Because they'll judge you. Like, I might think you are just a jackass. Just looking at you. Just a jackass. You know what I'm saying? You got long woof on your shirt.
Indeed,
What the heck is
indeed.
that supposed to mean? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I definitely can understand where you're coming from when we, definitely
Prejudge
they're
and all that.
judged. It can definitely, you can miss your wife.
Yeah, I try not to worry about the haters. You know what I mean, personally, because I had a change in my life. You know what I mean? I changed my whole body
Right.
from a whole different person. And even that comes with hate and misunderstandings. But you got to think about it this way. I don't do what I do for you.
Right.
I do what
I
I do
know
for me.
that's right.
And you got to think about it this way. I had health issues and a bunch of other crap. I was digging myself into an early grave. And I had to switch my mindset to the point where I was like, either I'm going to live or I'm going to die. Which one do you want? Do you want to have some mental toughness and take yourself through the suck? Or do you want to go?
Wow.
So you can't worry about the haters. You got to worry about the truth. Jesus Christ, woman. This is another long essay from the side. Are you in a healthy relationship now?
I'm in a healthy relationship, absolutely. First of all, I'm in a healthy relationship with myself. And like I said, that was a journey within of itself. But once I got to that point, I was able to meet people or meet a specific woman and really get into her.
A black woman.
A black woman.
Black woman.
Black woman!
Look,
Hey.
But look, how could you? So after a hard day of oppression, how can you come home to a white woman? Real, like,
I
real
mean,
life.
there's something in truth. I'm just something in truth.
Like, what
right
are you
about
gonna
that.
talk about?
Right.
But that's my next long question, because I think you mastered most of the long essay I got. Because of your book, have you healed?
Oh yeah. I think so. I mean, but it's still. But just because you say you healed, that doesn't mean the work is done. Because honestly, right now, I'm gonna use my EAP because I need to go and have a conversation with somebody. Not because something's going bananas, just because I need that conversation. I need that structure. I need to make sure that I'm going in a healthy, emotional direction for myself. And, because that emotional and mental, they're not one and the same, but if one is thrown off, it can definitely throw the other one off. So when I say I self-evaluate on a regular basis, I'm talking about my heart, I'm talking about my mind, I'm talking about my physical, I'm talking about everything. Just because I want to make sure that my inner circle isn't being destroyed by me.
And what is your next book about, if you have one planned?
So I'm really finished this. It's actually a series of books. And yeah, this is for you. This series of books. Matter of fact, you're gonna get the
The
first
way you
copy.
just switched your nose, though.
You're going to get the first.
You're gonna get the first
What's
copy.
your
So I have a series of books. It's a series of 7 books. done coffee table style. And what I did was I took these pictures of black women, all black women. So it's 13 in the book, so probably about 93 pictures and poems. And these poems speak about these black women and with all these different hues and all these different sizes, with all these different tattoos, with plain Janes, with all kinds of hair and stuff like that. So it's speaking directly towards black women and how much I love you. So I may have had a moment a minute ago when I said black women.
Yeah, because we started off real good. The conversation, remember when we
yeah,
started
it was
off,
good.
I was like, oh,
And then went from all to black.
black
Oh.
women. Okay, wait a minute.
That's why I love this show. Now, DC, what's
That's
your
awesome.
final question for Mr. DeWayne?
I don't think I have a final question for him. I might be in contact with him.
There we go.
You know, we might have to do this. But go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You have something.
No, well, no. My final question would be, do you have any regrets?
I don't think I do. I should because it's been so much heartache. So you wouldn't wish the amount of heartache that I've had to deal with on anybody. But honestly, I guess had I not had that amount, I wouldn't be as patient as I am. I wouldn't be as understanding as I am. You know? So no, I don't think I have any regrets.
Okay.
All right, my final question before we wrap this thing up is, what do you really want to tell the person out there who's coming behind you who may be living in pain?
Oh, wow.
I try to do my best, brother.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. People will tell you go get help. People will tell you that you're sick, that you're mentally not in a good place. People will tell you all kinds of things to, quote unquote, help you and break you down, all in the same comment. You really need to understand who you are and where you're coming from. You definitely need to seek a counselor when you get to a place of understanding who you are and which direction you want to go in. But that self-love is a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, can I do a poem? Oh, it's too late.
Give me 5 seconds.
Okay.
It's only 8:10.
We want you to build up to it.
Okay.
You ready?
You ready? I was going to take a loss. Go for it. If you can do it off the dome, I want you to be build up to it. But you got it?
Yeah.
Hit it then.
We talking about emotion. So this piece is entitled Brillo.
Brillo?
Yeah, we know
Like
what
the
Brillo.
pad?
There you go.
Okay.
Brillo pad. In the aftermath, I'm stuck with only an image of your persona. You are still trapped under my skin, and I reek of your aroma. Ink and toner has scarred me for life. So I bathe, trying to remove the engraved commemorating art that I willingly purchased. This is now a memento with no purpose. The tattered up surface of my skin is bruised, but not as bad as my abused heart that at some point has to be reused, but next time in an equally loving capacity. So with the tenacity of a Tasmanian devil, my goal is to scour my body and tear through its flesh, exposing it to its metabolic level. The combined odor of you and the scented oil that I doused myself with earlier stinks as frustration sets in once I realize that no one has a girlier exfoliating loofah, that I expected to be more abrasive. But for your odor, I need something persuasive enough to make me feel fresh. So I'll use Brillo in my attempts to remove you from my flesh. The wire mesh leaves me with new reminders, but I still have trouble seeing them because of the love blinders. Now I understand that the emotional remains, the tear stains, the everyday pains of me still loving you is my burden to bear, but how come I still care? And the evidence of that is in the medium rare coloration of my exposed meat. the shower's heat burns externally, while thermally, the cascading waters are unbearable. Showering for so long that the wrinkles make my skin unwearable. I wish my skin was comparable to that of an armadillo, so it wouldn't hurt so bad when I use Brillo to lessen the foul stench within the carotid arteries of my heart's ventricles. You chose the worst possible premeditated time to leave me, so the pain you inflicted was intentional. Now what once was conventional now has deflated this multi-conventional man of conviction, and I'll resort to any method to get over what I'll unfortunately call my addiction. Led by heartache, your scent would remake my present-day demeanor, as the vindictiveness was making me meaner in my foreseeable future, rendering it impossible to suture together this now section of albino skin. It sucks not having rhino skin. A dream deferred. That's what you leaving me has inferred. Now with the lines no longer blurred, I cry as I head to bed to wrap my arms around my pillow. Angry at my inability to remove your odor as I scrub my entire body with Brillo.
Jesus Christ. I don't know what I'm going to do to top that. So we'll be right back after this break. And there's nothing I can do now on top that drink. That might.
Vincent got the heat.
All I can say, I'm going to try to think of a prayer to close us out. But, bro, that was beautiful.
Yes.
Black man to black man, I can say this with comfort now, because that's something you got to work on. You got to
Yes.
work on telling another black man to his face.
Yeah, love.
That was some fly ass stuff right there, bro.
Appreciate you.
What do you gotta say? I know we got a caller coming up, Alicia. What do you gotta say about that? Cause you all smiles on that one.
I am. I totally forgot about the whole black woman thing. Like,
You might have redeemed yourself.
He
You might have
definitely
redeemed
did.
yourself.
It was so intricate with the emotions, and you can actually feel like I could visually see what you were saying. I don't know if that makes sense to you
No, it does.
when you talked about the armadillo skin and just I mean, geez, it's so many points that I could go to. That was nice.
Thank you.
I definitely want to get more of your. And I have a girlfriend who's definitely. I know she's watching Nicole. We gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna be digging this. Oh, Reggie, we took too long.
Oh well.
It's okay.
Well, it's time.
But yes,
to
that
wrap
was
up.
definitely
time
that
to
was
wrap it
good.
on up. All right,
Those
DC,
emotions.
what do you want? Where do you have to say in close? Where can people locate you at? All that good stuff.
You can locate me on Instagram at DC's Baddest, and on Facebook, my government name Alicia Coe, and that's about it. Unpack Radio.
Oh, DeWayne.
Just for the record, I'm having a website release on the 30th of January on my Facebook page. You can go and you can pull up all my information right now on that particular website, even though I'm going to launch it on the 30th. But it's, again, it's LONEWOLF, I as intellectual, P as in property.com.
All right.
All right. Well, my final statements are church announcements. So we're
All
still working on uploading last week's episode to YouTube. So our
Okay.
YouTube family, please be patient with us, because my nephew has to do 1,001 things. You don't know how hard this young man has to work to get this stuff to upload. He got to put it on a file, then he got to take it from the file, then it don't have sound, then he got to figure out how to get sound on it. So we are still working on last week's episode. So we may hold this episode for a day or two to let last week's episode
Come
play a
through.
little bit, and then we will launch this episode, which is a very important conversation for people to listen to. That's the most important thing. And we currently have 80 people locked into our YouTube channel.
Amen.
And it takes some people almost a year to get to that point. We only been doing it for 4 months.
That's what's up.
So I thought coming in, it was going to be like oh man, I got all these supporters, I used to do all this stuff on the streets, it's gonna blow up. But you gotta be patient, and you gotta keep on pushing your product, and you gotta keep on pushing your ideas so people will listen. I think that's the most important thing I can say. Next week we got Mr. Jeremy Lucky coming in. He's gonna teach us all about credit. And he's going to teach us how to build up credit. He's going to teach us how to use our credit to fire our bosses. So ain't God good?
Hey,
You
glory.
never know. Somebody might get the tripping. And my man about to teach you how to live off a credit card and live good. So I'm going to bring my notepad next week. All right, we will see you guys next week. And thank you, DeWayne, man. This was an interesting conversation, man. God bless you, sir.
Yes, God
I
bless
was
you.
going to try to do a prayer, but there's nothing I can do to on top of that poem. So
You play too much.
there's nothing I can do. It is
You
earth.
play too much.
Let's log up out of here. See you guys next week.
Next week.